It's been a while since I've been on live today, but we're here live today. I know sometimes it may seem like we're not live, but we're here live today. Welcome everybody to today's episode of the Hive with Us podcast. Today we have special guests Alicia Jarrett and Anthony Gona co-hosting with me. We're going to cover a lot of cool, interesting topics, so I hope you stay tuned and watch the full recording today. How is everybody doing today?
Hey, happy Friday, guys, or happy Saturday from me.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Friday. Okay, cool. And you're Saturday.
Friday.
So, for everybody that doesn't know, you're from Australia.
I am.
What time is it there?
Can't tell by the accent, Daniel.
But most people don't know this. So
Yes, they do. So yeah, I'm an Aussie. I am based in Australia doing deals all throughout the US, and it's currently 8:07 in the morning on Saturday.
So bright and early.
This is not early for me, my friends. I get up at 5 and start work so I can maximize my US hours. So I'm halfway through my day.
Okay. Yeah, we're the opposite.
Let it be known right now, we are not part of the 5 a.m. crew, believe it.
That doesn't exist in my day.
Love it.
I'm up like about maybe 7-ish. Yeah, and then I'm going to go hit a bike or I'm going to go hit the gym. And then my business day starts about noon. That's kind of
I love that. But it's funny when I'm in the US, and I'll be back over there in the next 3 weeks. When I'm in the US, that's how my day starts to pan out too. So I'm not a 5 a.m.er by choice. It's more because, globally that's how we work. But when I'm in the US, same as you, Anthony, I'm like, get up when the sun's like well and truly up, do a bit of exercise, jump into my day, much more chilled.
Absolutely, yeah. I used to do it. I used to get up at like when it was still dark outside and start hitting emails, start replying, and yeah, by 10 a.m. like your day is already complete. You already knocked out 8 hours of work. But yeah, I felt like just now where I am in my life, like I have zero alarm clock. So if I'm still tired, if I want to sleep an extra 30 minutes or an hour, I just take it. And then in the morning, I will come downstairs in the morning and meditate and drink hot water and just, kind of just sit there for a while and just kind of pray. And then, like I said, next thing is hydration, fitness, and then business last.
Love it. I'm actually the opposite. So when I do my exercise at lunchtime to break up my day, and at the end of the day is when I have my routine where I go and I'll do some meditation. I'll have like my wind down for the day and get ready for the following day. So it's almost like we're flipped, Anthony.
That makes sense. You being on the other side of the globe, or we're on the other side of the globe. You're on the correct side.
Yeah.
That's funny. So let's talk about the state of the economy today. I know a lot of people are scared of there's a lot of wholesalers going out of business and going back to their job. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of movement going on. Cash is getting a little thin to put into deals. Private money lenders are tightening up. Like, what's the state of economy for you looking like, Alicia, for you right now?
Are you talking in Australia or are you talking state of the economy for me in the US? Because here's the thing, guys. I don't do any real estate in Australia. Okay. I only do the US. But I guess I'll answer that question in two elements. So for those interested, Australia is going through the same thing. So this whole where the state of the economy is at, it's impacted nearly every country you can think of. So we are going through some rapid changes with our inflation rates. Interest rates for people in housing has more than doubled for a lot of them in just this year alone. The basis points have gone up. People's mortgages have doubled. So people are feeling it over here too. Don't get me wrong. But in the US, if I think about our business in the US, yes, we've noticed a change and markets go through cycles. So I guess before we jump into state of the economy, let's kind of have this honest conversation up front with anyone listening, right? Markets go through cycles. This is not unusual. We've been here before, folks. We've come out of it before. Markets go in these ups and these downs. And at the moment, we are in a market shift. As a real estate investor, I think it's important that we recognize those market cycles and we start to adjust our strategies and our approach to our sellers and our buyers to stay kind of, in line with that market cycle. Because when everyone zigs, we got to zag, right? So, the economy does have an impact, but in any market shift, if you go back in history as well, even from the 2008 crash, there was still a lot of deals happening. There was what we call contrarian buyers back in 2008. So a contrarian buyer is when the market's down or the market shifts, they're in the background. They're waiting for a market shift to happen so they can go in and spend a whole bunch of money. And that happened last time. So, there's still deals out there to be done. I think the one thing for me that I'd probably want us to focus on today is how do we help people to overcome that fear factor? Because the media does not help us in driving fear in people's minds around, the to end. No, it's not. We just
This show is sponsored by Hivemind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the Hivemind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings and, of course, to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
No, I agree. I'm one of those people. So last time there was, the 2008, I wasn't in real estate. I was in construction, and my significant other at the time was working for like AT&T at a call center. So I didn't even know what a recession meant. Didn't feel it. Didn't think about it. Didn't even notice it happened by the time it blew by. And then now being in the thick of it as a real estate investor, I think similarly, right? Because Daniel and myself, we focus on a marketing-driven approach to business and real estate. Similarly, we're not checking the price of interest rates. We're not doing anything because we don't deal with institutions. So it's kind of been business as usual for us.
Yeah.
If it wasn't on the TV, I don't think we'd even recognize that we're in a recession because land is still selling great. Leads are still coming in. So we haven't kind of noticed it. So if I see somebody struggling in their real estate business, either from the lead gen side or sales or acquisition side, I think it's just being a little more crafty and resourceful right now is all it is. But there's a lot of activity still happening.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And sometimes in these market shifts, what worked for you when the market was great might not work for you now. So then you've got to think about on your acquisition side, and I'm preaching to the converted here, right, guys? You guys know this. On the acquisition side, how are we going out to the market differently to get those off-market deals? On the disposition side, what are we putting out to our potential buyers that allows for them to manage cash flow? Like, are we getting more creative in our seller finance deals? Are we looking at, different strategies there? So I think in any market shift, you've got to adjust your strategies to do that. And I'm with you guys. I don't watch the news. I deliberately don't because it's full of propaganda and one person's view of the world, and it's full of fear-driven stuff as well. But if I need to research something, I'll go and find out, right? But I think the three of us, we know enough to be dangerous. But equally, I think we're all on that side of the fence that is, I'm not going to let that noise distract me from doing what my core strategy is, and that's to do real estate deals and serve people in the industry that we work with, right?
So I guess I want to talk a little about this is regulation with texting. I think there's a huge, we're dealing with it too, and we're dealing with all our customers with the A2P2 regulation. Do you text at all, and have you switched from texting at all from what you used to do as far as outbound marketing?
Yeah, we have switched. So my limited informed view on SMSing and texting, right, guys, is I think it's got a limited shelf life. At the moment, there's still a lot of people out there doing texting, but it feels like the Wild West, right, texting. And if you get it wrong, now that you've got the 10 DLC that's come down, if you don't have your number registered, which was July 5th, by the way, you should have had your numbers all registered. And the regulation you just spoke about there, Daniel, if you're not starting to look at this from a compliance perspective, overnight, if you don't do the right thing overnight, your texting number can be ripped out from underneath you and you never get to use it again. And I think there's a lot of people out there in the real estate space that don't get the risks at the moment. So we've personally moved away from texting, and a lot of our marketing is now still direct mail. Direct mail still works, but we're supplementing it with cold calling and using both American dollars for cold calling. Main reason, cold calling is acceptable. It's regulated. You're not breaking any laws by getting someone's number and trying to have a conversation with them. You're still very much in a state of compliance when you're doing direct mail and cold calling. I think from a marketing perspective, you can get very crafty with how you shape that. So do you run your data and then do your cold call campaign first? And then for anyone that doesn't respond, do you follow up with direct mail? Or do you run your data, send out your direct mail? Once the direct mail has been delivered, do you then have someone for your bigger price deals? Because you don't have to cold call everyone, but for your really strong deals that you're going after, do you then follow up with a cold call that can be less about a sales call and more about a consultation call? Hey, we sent you a letter about your vacant land. Would you love to get on with our professionals, Daniel and Anthony? These guys do, pretty big deals. Would you like to get on a consultation call to talk about some creative strategies for your property? That's a very different marketing angle based upon the current market that we're in versus, do you want to sell your land?
Yeah, I'll tell you how we're using it right now. We definitely started cold calling. We started launching that probably within the last 2 weeks or so. But one thing how we're using our phone numbers is we still have a phone number on our website. We wait for inbound stuff. So we still run PPC ads and wait for that call to come in. So we're still using that phone system on the receiving side, but not necessarily on the outbound side. And I think it's just little minor adjustments that will still yield results, not necessarily stopping what you're doing, but just minor adjusting to the market and how you're going to use that.
Correct. Just adjust, right? And we're still using SMS in our sequencing. So, for example, when leads come in and we've now got their details, so they've opted in, we're still using SMS to communicate really, really heavily, right? Because it's a very good communication tool, but 100%. We're definitely moving away from it as a marketing tool.
Yep, 100%. And I agree with that too. It's like, don't necessarily drop it 100%, but still use it as effectively as possible because it still works. A lot of people still like texting with conversing with buyers and sellers. They still like having that conversation.
Yeah.
So once you get past the opt-in point, it's a great point of contact.
Yep. And the other thing as well, so all the websites that we build for our customers at the moment, we're making sure the websites are even now super compliant. It's got to have an opt-in. Someone's going to give their details. They got to opt in to the fact that we will be communicating with them via email, SMS, things like that. So all of these little things to keep people compliant at the moment is a bit of a big topic. But we've even got customers at the moment that they've opted in. We're having conversations. When we're sending them their contract via PandaDocs, we're SMSing them a link. Like they're literally doing deals on their phones. So I agree with you, Daniel. Don't move away from it. Use it as a tool to empower your team to do things easier with our customers.
Yeah, it's such a great. I think texting as a whole. I think we're moving to a generation of texting as a whole because I rarely talk on the phone unless I have to, and I still rather text and I communicate with my team via messaging apps and stuff like that. And stuff like that. So there's still opportunity. Go ahead.
I was going to say just on that, I think the most app that I use, and even on my desktop, the biggest platform that I use on a daily basis is WhatsApp.
There you go.
Customers, buyers, sellers, team. Yeah, it's just everything's instant messaging now.
So, like I said, there's a lot of cool tools out there that you can still use in Tangent that still give you the great connection of connecting with those buyers or sellers. Because people just like communicating the way they like being communicated, and as long as you can communicate their way, you're gonna get good traction.
Can I just comment on that last thing that you just said there? I think this is really important for people to notice. It's like you guys know we've got a marketing business outside of what we do in the land business, just like you guys do too. I often talk about customer experience because I think there's a lot of real estate investors out there that will set up their businesses to communicate with their buyers and sellers in their preferred way. Like you just said then, Daniel, you prefer texting because that's your mode of communication. We are not our buyers and sellers. Our buyers and sellers are our buyers and sellers. And you mentioned there where we've got the next generation coming through of people that are more tech savvy and more text savvy as well. But we're still dealing with people anywhere from their 20s and 30s all the way up to their 80s and 90s. So when we think about customer experience, we need to make sure that we're creating environments in our businesses that allow people to do business with us in any way that they choose and make that super easy. So if they want to text us, call us, respond to direct mail, go to our socials and messages there, communicate with us via video, go to our calendar and book a time with us, like whatever it is, we need to create those mechanisms to make that super easy and then respond in kind. I think a lot of people shy away from all of those different touch points that you can have. Maybe you're leaving money on the table if people are doing that. It's probably my question to pose out there.
No, I'll say that 100%. And I think this is where, like, us as service providers, we understand that because and if you're not in real estate, this is for you too. Like, you need to be in as many points of contact, accept as many different forms of payment. Like you gotta get in front of that customer and connect the way they want to be connected to 100%.
Make it easy.
I always say this a lot because we're service providers too, is that if somebody wants to pay you, figure out how to get them to pay you immediately in any form possible that works easiest for them. So this is 100% for all those other businesses out there and other niches too. You got to work with the customer and work on their work the way they operate. And you got to be flexible on your side to operate the way they operate. 100%. So I think we get a little not necessarily hack, but we get to see both sides of it because we also have a service and we do real estate. So it's kind of combining the two.
Same. Yeah.
What needs to happen in that conversation because we deal with regular customers as well too.
Yep.
Hey, let's see if just changing topic a little bit. We know now, like I said, you got to be more resourceful in these times, have multiple ways of communication, communicate the way that your buyers want to communicate with you. What about as far as strategies go? So I heard you mention now like some creative stuff. So are you guys pitching creative finance now as part of your offer, or how are you trying to source alternate capital, right? If institutions are getting a little tightening up their restrictions.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that we're doing at the moment is a joint venture strategy with our sellers, where they become the bank. So, for us, we're like you guys, we're going after quality deals versus quantity deals. So we're looking at bigger properties, entitlements, subdivision, things like that. So we're going out to them and saying, hey, we know that you've got a big property that you're sitting on. It may meet our criteria to do entitlement or subdivisions on. Now, if you could have done this yourself, you probably would have by now, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, but you haven't. So whether or not you don't have the time, the expertise, the patience, we've got all that. So let's partner. If you want to hold on to the land and you're wanting to extract the value out of it, we've got a way that we can partner with you on that. And we enter into a joint venture agreement with our sellers to be able to do all of that entitlement ourselves. So that's been our strategy at the moment, because the sellers don't want to sell for dirt cheap, especially, as you guys know, when you're dealing with bigger properties, you're obviously dealing with a lot of property owners. They know what their property's worth. They know that they could extract value out of it. They've been holding on to it for years and they're not willing to sell it for dirt cheap, pardon the pun, but it's about going to them and saying, well, if you do want to extract the value, but you don't know how, let us do that and then we'll profit share with you.
I love that pitch and that mindset right there is for one, the partnership, but for two, let's get you as much as possible, not as little as possible.
Yeah.
Something that Daniel and myself, we preach about all the time. So I really love that you're in that same mindset. It only makes sense because of the kind of person that you are. But we try to get the price of the property, and then we try to build the deal around that price, as opposed to only just pulling that one lever of trying to get a discount. We're like, okay, look, let's try to get you that price, right? Maybe we could work out some kind of creative terms or JV terms. And then if the seller's like, well, no, I kind of don't want to do that. Like, well, hey, I'm offering you exactly what you asked for. I can lowball you.
You're so right, Anthony. I think you just hit on the right point. I'm offering what you asked for. So if what you're then offering, if they change their mind, well, cool. As long as you've got a number of solutions. So yes, I can buy it from you for cash. This is what it is. And we'll have a quick turnaround. I can JV with you. I can do some wraparound financing. I can do all these different things. So first and foremost, I think in the current climate, we've really just got to understand our sellers a bit more about where they're at, because a lot of them are having financial pressures and they do need to liquidate, but they want to get the maximum out of it because times are tough. So there's different motivations there for our sellers at the moment that I think we really need to be across. Same with our buyers.
So one thing I want to say to this is that you really need to dig in more into motivation, and you hit it for that point, because there's a lot of other underlying motivations, because they might have a handful of assets or their last asset that they have left, and they can't just let it go. They have to squeeze it for what it's worth. So we're always operating. We're trying to build a deal around them, and we have all these different options we could do, but we really need to know what you really need and what timeline you need it, because if you don't communicate with us, we really can't help you liquidate right now. And if you want to look at it right now, these are your options.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, couldn't agree more. And having that really open and honest conversation, I think as well, being that we're all land investors, certainly in the last year or two, we've moved away in our team from being less transparent about what we do, and we're moving now into being more transparent. It's like, whether or not we're going to use the property ourselves, that we're going to subdivide, or we might hold it. We might seller finance it to someone who is going to use it. Like really being open and transparent with our sellers about that. Because I think gone are the days that you need to be a little bit cloak and dagger about this stuff. And really, that also comes back to what you said then, Daniel. If we understand their motivation, and I think it's only fair that they need to understand ours. You know, we're all in here to make money and put food on the table at the end of the day as well. And if we can strike up that relationship where honesty and openness is at the heart of it, especially right now with the market shift, then that goes a long way to build trust with our audiences. And that's, you know, I always say we are in the business of relationships, not real estate.
100%. Anthony can jump in. We've actually adopted this 100% transparency. We tell them what we're doing up front and how we're going to do it. And that way we tell them the skills we provide to the transaction too, because the asset they bring to the transaction is the deal. And it might be us, by bringing the deal, we don't have to bring all our cash, which costs us something. So with high interest rates, you always want to, hey, if I buy it with my own money, it has to be at this price point because money is expensive.
Yep.
If you're going to bring the deal, we can pay you a lot more, but you got to bring the deal and work with us from A to Z. And this is the timeline it's going to take. This is the process it's going to take. This is what we're going to do to extract this value that you want. Because I'm not negotiating on price. I'm going to give you your price, but this is what we want to give you based off of the parameters you want and the price point you want.
Yeah, I love that, Danny. The value is in the service that we bring, especially if you're dealing with a property that's got probate issues and a whole range of other stuff that the seller just doesn't want to deal with. Like, that's the value right there.
100%.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're always hunting for. And I was exactly going to bring that point up next is we did move from like, hey, I'm your buyer, you know, and then of course then doing what we do on the back end. And now our pitch goes, hey, we're going to take it and we're going to subdivide it and we're going to file entitlements. And I even told my seller, I was like, dude, I might make $20 million on this deal. I said, I might make 10. I said, I'd rather go 50-50 with you. He says, no, it's okay. You just be the buyer. All right. And I told him, I said, you know, I might not be able to get it done in a year. I said, I don't want to set false expectations. He's like, well, just if you need 2, we'll just do 2. Don't worry about it. I'm like, golly, okay, all right, here we go. And then he let me do 4.4 million. He let me do 0.5% down earnest money.
Love it.
%. So it's just, that's as transparent as you could get. Like, hey, sir, I'm probably going to make several $1 million on this. Are you sure you don't want to JV it? He's like, nope, you're the buyer. Okay. Have a nice day. Let's do it. I'll send you the contract. So
again, time. People are motivated by different things. Time versus money. For him, and again, people will look at it and go, "Well, I'd rather X amount now versus X amount later," because we got no idea what's going. Well, hopefully we do because we've spoken with them. We've got no idea what's going on in their life as to why they might need that sooner versus later. Yeah, it's interesting. People are interesting, aren't they?
Yeah, I love it. You know, you'd be surprised. I love it though. Like now, like I said, our last deal we did 350 acres in Greenville, Texas, and we told the seller up front from the beginning, we're going to subdivide. We're going to do ranchettes. We even had her sign in our contract that we have the right to like subdivide and sell the property and show buyers before we close. Like it was in our documents. So it's like the more transparent we're becoming, the easier real estate's getting. Like, oh dang, you know.
Yeah, funny that.
Yeah, they say, wholesaling is shady, but it's like, dude, we're providing a service. Our sellers love us. They know exactly what we're up to. So there's nothing shady about it. You know, it's a cool business to be in. It's a blessing. And, you know, we're meeting a lot of great people like yourself. And I was thinking recently, like everybody's playing on their scorecard, right? They're playing, how many assets do I have? How many doors do I have? How much cash flow do I have? But I think the one asset that nobody ever talks about is the relationships that you can collect along the way in your business. Yeah. Right? Because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, and then the smoke's gone, and the numbers look good, and you know maybe you only have 10 or 20 years left. You know, what kind of friends do you have? Who can you call on a Saturday night and talk and catch up and laugh? And I think that's another thing that people just they're not paying attention to that as an asset. And Daniel and myself are. We're like, man, just if you take a look at anything in our business, take a look at the friends that we have, like the business relationships that we've built.
Oh my goodness, Anthony, I couldn't agree more. Like our recent trip to the US, so we've been back in Australia about 7 weeks now, and we were over there for nearly 8 weeks. We're going to be back again soon for another 8 weeks. So I'll be seeing you guys in a few weeks.
Try to make it to San Antonio.
I'll see you guys. Yeah, we're going to be in Houston and Dallas for a while, so we'll see what we can do. But the point I was going to make here is every city that we were in, I just put it out to, I didn't actually specifically say to anyone. I was just, hey guys, we're going to be in the US. We're going to be at these locations. Let me know if anyone wants to catch up for lunch or dinner. in every location, we had a minimum 14 people.
Dang.
So this is across Phoenix, Houston, and LA. We had three events. People drove for hours to come and just sit and chat. And I was so honored and so grateful and so blown away. But it just comes back to what you said, you know, who do you want to sit around with on a Saturday night and have a chat with? And I was so humbled by just how many people in this community that we all build around vacant land and what we're all doing. Yep. It's so different to single family homes, that's for sure. So for anyone watching at the moment, vacant land is where it's at. But, you know, that community that we build and people that we do deals with and that we link arms with, it's so amazing.
One thing I love that. It's so cool. I wanted to go back a second too, because I think back to the prior thing, and maybe we'll jump back a little later, but I had a train of thought in my head. But I think a lot of people teach to attack the deal and kind of put wool over people's eyes to try and get the transaction done. Like, we need to have an inspection period so I can have my partners and contractors view the property. And like, that's this like total opposite approach. Like, hey, we're gonna have contractors, we're gonna have buyers come look at the property because they're gonna buy 10 acres off of this 300.
Hey, check this out. We're signing up a property right now. It's 14 1-acre lots. It's like a developer built all these lots. They've been selling them, and we just made an offer on all the remaining lots. So now we got a verbal agreement on everything. And we told the guy that we're going to be showing the lots to sell them. And the developer was like, okay, great. So they have signage up on property and everything. We're just going to just ask, like, we're going to get it in our contract. Our phone number goes over the top of theirs. Like, how much more transparent can you get, you know? So
I mean, this is the thing, guys. It's when people don't have to second guess you, and when you're not leaving them with unanswered questions, you know, the psychology behind that is there's then no resistance. So I guess the thing I want to put out to anyone listening today is, what are you doing to lower resistance?
There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah.
One of the cool
I don't know where that came from. It was just in there somewhere.
One of the cool things about this deal as a whole, the 14-lot deal, is that it's leveraging our skill set, which our skill set is marketing. Whereas a builder developer, they might have the cash and time and the deal to actually subdivide and do it. They might have been working that deal for 2-3 years. Who knows?
Yeah.
But they need our skill set where we're at right now. And that's why they're willing to do the deal with us at the end, because that's what we do. That's our skill set. So I think the biggest thing is find out what your skill set is and dig in, because you might be able to do that skill set in every type of transaction over and over again. And that might just be the thing you do.
Yeah, correct. I mean, we've got one of our customers that is she absolutely loves doing probate deals. And when the numbers work out right, she and her team, the investigative skills they've got to find out information and then get probates done is phenomenal. Now, these might be deals that no one else wants to touch because they're like, oh, too hard. That's the other thing. We were talking with someone the other day, and I said, you know, the gold is in the difficult stuff.
Yep.
When people aren't willing to roll up their sleeves and do the difficult stuff, like that's where the gold is, because people are always wanting an easy way in this business, you know. And coming back to what you said, Anthony, before, there's a lot of people out there, like educators, that are still trying to pull the wool over people's eyes. I still see that, and it makes me cringe a little bit. But I also see the opposite, where people are offering services now to deal with the difficult stuff, because that's where the real, not only the real money can be made, but that's where the real service and value add can be done as well.
Yeah, I think you pick your hard, right? Everything's hard. So they just say, like, pick your hard. So if you want to work on a big giant subdivide that's going to take 18 months, you know, where you make $1 million on it, or do you want to work on 5, you know, probate airship deals where there's 10 or 20 people involved, but you know that the payout's going to be great. So I think there's still enough deal flow in the marketplace where you can kind of just pick whatever you're interested in doing, decide what kind of return you want to make for your investment, and then go from there. But you bury yourself with deals until you just run out of hours in the day. But you know, even us, we're starting to get more and more picky now on stuff that we want to take on. Like, we used to say, hey, if it had a 50K spread, we'll take it, or a 20. Now we're like at 100. Now we're looking at $1 million. Like, let's pick deals that are a little bit more challenging, that take a little bit longer, but have a lot higher payout. So that way we have a lot less deals, bigger spread, as opposed to having 30 or 40 or 50 deals working at the same time.
Yeah, love it. Matt Andrews has just commented, hey, Matt, Alicia Jarrett is a beast. Matt, I'll be seeing you soon. But he's got a mastermind that we're a part of, the family mastermind group. We'll be overseeing him in Tampa in a couple of weeks. So you guys should be a part of that group, by the way, if you're not.
I'm happy to take a look. What's up, Matt? Thanks for hanging out, man.
Yeah, I'm going to introduce you guys via email. I think you guys would be awesome to be a part of the group. But coming back to the thing you just said then, Anthony, I think this is really interesting about, hard, the word hard. I always say to people, hard, or the word difficult or hard is not a fact, it's a feeling. Because you guys, all that you're doing now, you've gone from a $50,000 to a $100,000 deal to $1 million deal and above and beyond. You're just adding zeros. That's really all that it is. And I think some people overthink these things. So when someone gets a deal and they go, oh, that's hard, I always say, compared to what? Because it might not be that hard. Like I might look at a deal and go, that's not hard. I've done that before. So hard is not a fact, it's a feeling. I think people need to take that on and really just sit with that and go, am I not doing this because I'm feeling like it's really hard, or should I just dig in anyway and go for it? Because a lot of the time stuff isn't as difficult as what we think it is.
I love that. Yeah, it really is a mindset. And I did a podcast a few months ago, and they said like, well, what's your like great thing or your superpower? And I'm like, nothing. It's just like brute strength. Just the ability to just like hammer stuff out, take a lot of pain, put in a lot of hours, and then I don't think twice about it. Like I'm not like, woe is me. We just crank and crank and crank. Sometimes Daniel and myself are on the phone 8 or 10 different times for an hour, 2 hours at a time, just pushing through stuff. And he never complains. I never hear Daniel say, hey, I'm sick and tired of this, or this is wearing me out. He's just working and working and working like a damn machine. And then he checks on me and I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, man, if I call him and he's like, hey, dude, I'm busy, I can't answer or whatever. I'm like, well, I already know he's buried up to his neck then, because we're usually pretty good at communicating with each other. And then same with me, he's like, hey, can you hop on this Zoom real quick? And I'm like, dude, I'm buried. Like, I'll call you back. So
I love that. Can I pose a question out to everyone listening? Because
absolutely.
Yeah, let me, and I'm going to get a little bit controversial here, guys, if this is okay. Is that all right?
Please. Yeah, that's what makes this stuff so juicy.
Good. So there's a lot of people out there selling the, not necessarily the get rich quick, but the, you can become your own millionaire and replace your income and do this and do that. Like they're the whole lifestyle of an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
But here's the reality. If I said to someone, give it a year or two, maybe 2 years. Let's give you 2 years, and you'll have a bank account that's probably better than what you've ever imagined, and you'll have all these goals that you wanted to. But in those 2 years, you're going to work 70 or 80 hours a week. You're probably going to miss friends and family's birthdays. You might not take a vacation in that time. Actually, let's make it 4 years, because there's always things that come up and things get pushed out. You're going to find yourself questioning a whole range of things as you go through this, to go, oh my goodness, am I on the right track or am I failing? You're going to have people question what you do. You're going to have people tell you to just go back and get a job. You're going to have all these things happen. Are you willing to do it? What do you think most people would say?
No.
And I think that's the difference between those that, hard is not a fact, it's a feeling. Those that push through all of that to get to that goal that they're really looking for, and they're not willing to accept anything different than those that get 3 or 4 months in and go, this is too hard, and they go back and get a job. So when we started this conversation, Daniel, you mentioned something really poignant here. You said, there's a lot of people going out of business at the moment or aren't making it through. My question back to them is, what are you doing when times get tough? How do you dig deep? How do you stay the course? How do you pivot your strategy to remain relevant? Like that's the stuff that grit and that determination, that's what makes people successful at the end of the day, not doing the basics.
100%. I'm going to say I'm going to add to this, because I think it's 5 to 10 years. It's 5 to 10 years. Me and Anthony have been doing this for 4. And a lot of people, they're like, Alex Hormozi came out with a video literally like last week. And he talks about how if somebody tells you to hold your breath, they're going to say in 10 seconds, oh, you can breathe now. But if somebody tells you to hold your breath and you don't know how long they're going to tell you to hold your breath, are you going to do it? You're like, no, I don't want to give you gas.
There it is.
It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt inside, and it's gonna hurt my feelings because you never told me to breathe.
Your lungs are gonna burn.
Exactly. So it's one of those things where and this is where I think you have to be well-rounded even on the backside, because when you're first starting out, you might have to keep your budget low. You might have to be a minimalist. You might not go on expensive vacations, expensive dinners. You might have to sacrifice for a minimal time to get to where you want to go. That maybe you have to cut something back just to have a little bit more marketing dollars this month.
Yeah,
we've done it. I'm sure you've done it.
Anthony's
done it. Anthony's done it. I've done it. We've all done it. And that is what are you willing to sacrifice for the small amount of time, whether it's 2 to 5 years, 7 years, are you willing to put in that work consistently over and over again with little to no result, to the point where,
and when it's hard,
to yield the result you actually want? And I think a lot of people there, it's not a good rich thing. For me, I don't know how long you've been doing this, Alicia, but me and Anthony, we've been doing this almost 5 years.
Yeah, we're 7 years in from when we first started fix and flipping houses to then moving into vacant land to then supercharged offers is like 4.5 years in. And there hasn't been a month where we haven't had challenges, but we've also had triumphs, So it's been a long, hard road, guys, but I'm super excited about where we're at and for what's to come. And I think that's where you've got to keep that focus, right? You can see I've got a massive whiteboard here that's got our whole strategy for the year mapped out, and we are like all systems go and on fire, but doesn't mean that you don't have tough days, right? But that's where you just got to keep on going.
100%. And like I said, you're 7 years, me and Anthony are at like 4.5 to 5 years. And like, this takes a lot of work, a lot of effort. Like people don't understand like the effort that comes into doing stuff like this, podcasting, video editing, social media, to dealing with your clients and customers, building websites for them. Like, there's a lot that goes into this thing that you see for maybe the 10, 15 minutes that you watched it, or you're watching the whole thing. Like, you've been here 35 minutes with us. Like, you don't see all the effort that comes into what got us here to this point today, but you don't understand what it's going to take us. I tell Anthony all the time, like, I feel like we're close to the tipping point, and I'm like, am I going to miss the struggle of doing all this hard stuff right now because it's going to be a lot easier later? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't made it yet, and I don't know. I see it at the horizon, but like, I'm
laughing because I think about that too, Daniel. Like, what am I going to do if I've got spare time?
Am I going to miss the hustle? Like, what am I going to do with, like, if I don't have a customer call or I don't have a podcast at this time? Like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. But I think that's also the mindset of an entrepreneur, is that we're already thinking about what's next for our businesses, and businesses being plural. Like, where do we go to when we got our business to the stage that we want it to? Well, what's next? And I think it's important to keep that in mind, but also to keep in mind, like, what's the kind of, when you reach that tipping point, what does your lifestyle look like that you want to lead? Coming back to that question I posed before, are you willing to give all this stuff up to get the result that you want? What are you then willing, when you get that result, to add back in? And to do that in a way that you don't break yourself, because we get so conditioned to working the hours we work and, push. If we were to pull back, what does that look like? And I think we've got to honor ourselves in that and give ourselves that reward as well.
100%. I know Anthony's got some stuff on this about mental health and taking care of your inner mind, because I think we're us as entrepreneurs, we're gluttons for punishment, because we push ourselves to the edge, to the point of breaking, and then repair ourselves. And like, it's kind of like a vicious cycle.
Yeah. Been there many a time, guys.
It sounds like the definition of insanity.
Anthony, doesn't it?
Brink of madness, and then nursing yourself back over and over again. What's up, John? John Fem's on here. He said, "What's up?" Yeah,
hey, John.
Yeah, John's a really cool guy. He's working on a special project we're about to launch right now. So I think we're gonna do something. I think we're gonna do something amazing soon with John and Tony Flores. No, cool. Yeah, I'm excited. I think, I guess we are gurus, right? People recognize us on the stage sometimes, right? We're in the spotlight. We put ourselves out there and leave ourselves open to criticism, right? We share the sensitive parts of our journey, right? And so that's something Daniel and myself talk about a lot, is we know it hurts. We know it hurts to be an entrepreneur, right? You have to be able to take more abuse than the average person that just has a 9 to 5. And yeah, I think I do spend a lot of time personally healing myself, and I love talking about that and sharing that part of my journey. But yeah, anything from fasting to saunas to protein powders to meditation to prayer. We talk about spirituality, going to church, or whatever your belief systems are. So that way you're a well-rounded entrepreneur, and you can take that amount of abuse, right? To be able to put in the hours and put in the work to make the magic happen. And everybody, like you said, they make it seem so easy, right? The gurus, like, it's so easy. And I think we're starting to, like, even the way we have transparency with our buyers and sellers, have transparency with our students and our coworkers, to let them know, like, hey, yeah, this is not easy. It's going to take a lot of work, and you're going to have some sleepless nights, and you're going to feel like ripping your hair out. But if you come out on the other side alive, then life gets pretty good, right? We could make 6 months or a year's pay for your average American, and sometimes in a couple of weeks or in a couple of days. But it doesn't come overnight. It does take a lot of hard work. And I think right now, a lot of what especially on the land side, the gurus are pitching is like virtual, right? And you're an expert at that yourself. But, we're talking about like jumping barbed wire fences and dodging snakes and stuff. And it's just something.
The last time I was on a call with you, you were in your truck on the way to visit a property, right? But yeah, I mean, we are doing this from the other side of the world. Yeah. But again, that means that we still need to approach it from the same perspective. It's just how do you use different mechanisms, boots on the ground, different technology to have that relationship with your sellers too. So, where there's a will, there's a way, that's for sure.
Yeah. We like being hands-on and like if we don't have somebody in that city, then for sure. Then we have our DeAndres right over there in Florida, and we have our team in Dallas. We have people in Houston, our Junior Octavios. So yeah, we work a lot of virtual stuff ourselves, but I love the idea of getting your hands dirty and getting out there and getting in the weeds and getting in the mud. Like it's just part of what we do. And it's what we're willing to go through to push these deals through to the next level. Right. So it's a combination of everything, but it is hard. It is a lot of hard work. And I think that we need to honor that and talk about that to say, hey, if you're going to make a lot of money in this business, like you said, you're gonna have to have nerves of steel, and you're gonna have a couple.
You're gonna have to put yourself out there, right? Yeah, and I think I just want to pay homage to anyone watching this that like us guys, we're putting ourselves out there all the time. It does take a lot of courage to do that. I just want to stop and recognize that in both of you, and the likes of Matt Andrews and what he's created as well, right? I'm working and speaking with a lot of entrepreneurs a lot. Nobody has gotten to the results that they have without some battle scars along the way. No one. So I think, a lot of people out there will look at someone and go, I want to be like them. I want the results that they've gotten. And the reality is you don't get there overnight, and you don't get there without those battle scars. So just, every now and then it's good to just, rather than criticize, to just stop and recognize how much hard work people are putting in. And I know you guys put an exceptional amount of hard work in for your crew, people that use your systems and stuff as well. And I just want to honor both of you in that too.
Thank you, and congrats from you from doing it from afar. We've worked with so many people around the globe, and we've heard the complaints and people that have tried. Hey, I'm trying it. It's because I'm overseas. I can't get a break. And then we meet you, and you're absolutely destroying it. And we're like, why does she think it's so easy? When a lot of other people we've worked with in the past have just had every excuse to just make it why they can't do it. It's just impossible from where they are. So
you just hit on the right word, excuse.
Yeah. That's all it is, yeah. And as soon as we met you, I was like, holy smokes, okay, this is amazing. Yeah, it's definitely a paradigm shift for us, is that no matter where you are on the planet, you can be effective. And you use the word resourceful. I think that's what it is I'd rather have somebody who's resourceful than somebody who's intelligent or somebody that has a degree, like just somebody who thinks on their feet. And a lot of people on our team are young kids, 20, 21 years old, 22 years old. They don't know anything, but they're absolutely resourceful, and they're full of energy, and they go out.
Hungry.
It happened. Yeah, they're not smart enough to second guess themselves.
Yeah, I love it. That's a perfect opportunity to impart your knowledge, your wisdom, and the things that you're doing, because they don't have any preconceived ideas yet about how to run this business, right? So I think that's also a beautiful gift that you're giving them, to have them be surrounded by you guys as entrepreneurs and teach them how to do things. It's great.
Yeah, I think it's just being open-minded. I think a lot of people, they get stuck in their own little rut. And I think being adaptable and changeable, because I think even you said earlier that you used to be a house flipper. There's still house flippers that flip houses for 10, 15 years, 20 years. They're still doing it now. I know if I saw the house flippers out there, but look at other opportunity with a objective lens, because you might see other opportunity differently now that you've experienced and you've aged and got wiser over time.
Yeah.
So I think being optimistic and looking at what other things are out there, because I think a lot of people get stuck in their rut, and they might make a lot of money in that rut, but there might be other opportunity that takes less stress and less effort to produce similar results.
Yeah, and particularly coming back to that whole global piece, like we now work with customers across 9 countries, all doing deals in the US, and we help every single one of them. We're talking Israel, Spain, Germany, Portugal, Asia, all these people that are all doing deals in the US. None of them have excuses, but it's how do you look for those opportunities at the right time and just embrace it and go for it.
I think having somebody like you in their corner, for one, to say, look, I'm doing it right now live, so just follow me. I think that's super easy for somebody to contact you and say, well, if you're doing it from there, I have to be able to do it from here. So that's super cool.
Yeah.
I want to just ask you real quick about what the Florida market looks like. This is just like a selfish question. This might not help our viewers, but I guess it will. We only do deals in Texas. We've done a couple of deals in Florida, but primarily in Texas. I would just want to know like how the landscape varies, because I am getting a lot of leads from over there, and I've been wanting to send you some stuff. I have sent you a couple of deals to look at. I think the only thing that keeps on making me scratch my head and like kind of steer away from that market is the wetlands. Like it seems like that would be like its own problem, and then so it's just like adds another layer, and then the different wildlife, like we don't have that. I mean, we probably do, but not to the extent that they do over there. So I wonder if you could speak about that a little bit and how you overcome that.
Yeah, 100%, guys. So first of all, the market in Florida is still really hot. We've only ever done Florida, and we continue to do Florida. It has become a lot more competitive. I won't lie. There's the conversion ratio has definitely shifted this year and last year compared to what it used to be. So, a lot more competitive. Wetlands. The biggest deal that we have done to date has actually been a wetlands property. So I think what you've got to realize in Florida with wetlands is they come in all kinds of shapes and forms. Just because it's got wetlands on it, it doesn't mean that it's wet underfoot. It could mean that the wetlands itself is only taking up a portion of the property. Majority of the property could be uplands when you get it surveyed. There's different types being seasonal wetlands versus just, used to be wetlands and no one surveyed it in 10 years and all of a sudden the wetland's not there anymore. So things shift and move. But you can obviously use data to help you get informed on that. So we personally don't take wetlands out of our data at all when we're doing marketing, because wetlands are also great recreational properties. Mm-hmm. There are different things that you can do for them. Again, I would say don't shy away from Florida because of it. Look at it as we are not our end buyer at the end of the day. So if we get a good property and we can see that it's wetlands, well, first of all, we'll look at what type it is. Is there any, if you get an environmental report done and delineation survey, are there any protected species? Like if there are protected species, we'll opt out of that deal, right? Because the last thing we want to do is upset flora and fauna. The other thing you need to keep in mind is in Florida, for certain properties, if you wanted to use that property and it is wetlands but no protected species, you've got to pay mitigation credits to be able to then offset that wetland, so that ecosystem, into making that land usable. And that can, when you're doing things like entitlement deals and stuff like that, it can add into the cost of it. But again, run your numbers. If it makes sense, move forward. If it doesn't make sense, don't. So yeah, Florida's still got a lot of areas in it that are not wetlands.
So I have a question about mitigation credits. So how do mitigation credits work? And is it like for a certain size property, you need a certain amount, or is it based off of what your use case is?
Yeah, God, that's a tough one to answer because I haven't had to pay them in a very, 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 I'm talking years. So I'm going to give a high level answer here because, to be honest, I haven't needed to look at it in a long time. But when we did, last time we did, it was based upon the size of the property and the portion that was wetlands. There was a certain amount per acreage or quarter acre of the mitigation amount that you needed to pay to the county, and then they would offset that. So they said, look, we'll now take that money, we'll put that into more environmental projects to keep other wetlands going. You can now use the property. In basics, that's just how it works. And don't even ask me what the amount was, guys. It was so many years ago, I can't even remember. But we still did the deal. So it wasn't to the extent that we couldn't do the deal. So that's okay.
So it's more like a tax, not necessarily the property.
That's a great way to look at it, Dan. Yeah, it's like a tax.
Amazing. See, I don't know that.
Florida, here we come.
You guys stay out of Florida and I'll stay out of Texas. There we go.
No, we got our hands so full here, golly, and I think we might never stop combing through the pod. I think that's one blessing that the hivemind community has done for our business is we just get an unlimited supply of leads forever now. So we can have zero paid marketing and the lead flow is never going to stop now. So that's a pretty cool
Love
spot.
it, guys.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really awesome. Well done to you both.
Thank you. Yeah, that was the goal for hivemind. It was to be like a self-sustaining lead engine. And it's like, I would say 6 months ago, it really fired up big time. So we're kind of excited. We're still like new, like it's still new to us because we're like, okay, now let's figure out what to do with all this traffic and whole new set of problems that we can get ourselves into.
Yeah, I would say new set of problems. There's positive problems and there's not positive problem. That's a positive problem.
Yeah, now, like, just watching the business unfold. What's the next challenge? Like, we could have too many deals to lock up. Right now, we have 10, 20 deals to lock up, and everyone needs somewhere between 1 and 20,000 of earnest money. You could burn through reserves pretty quick. So
yeah,
we started doing the Gator thing now. So we're like lending money, and now we have other Gators that want to lend us money for our deals. So lots of cool things, just watching it all evolve, and people ask us, like, how do you guys do all this? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. How do you do it all is, I think, when an opportunity comes knocking, you look at it, you open it up and you go, how can we do this? Versus when an opportunity comes, if your first reaction is, no, I don't have time or there's not enough, well, then you're going to miss out. But you guys are like that. I've met you both a few times now, and you're both very open to stuff, which makes a difference.
So I do have a story to tell you, and it's kind of funny because I think you'll laugh at this one, Alicia. So Anthony told me to target a certain niche in real estate, and he told me to just build a website and build up the automation. So I had me and my team go in there, build up the website, build the automations. Website was terrible. Literally, we had a domain. We got a phone number for it, set up automations for the phone number, and then we just let it. I forgot about it. And I get an email report about how many website visitors we get per month on that website. And I was like, wait, we're getting traffic on this? I'm like, I totally forgot about this. I checked the traffic. And we had 2 leads sitting in our inbox that were 3 to 4 weeks old that we didn't even respond to because we forgot about it.
Oh, my goodness. Yep. Yeah. Leads come from anywhere and everywhere these days, guys. And I always, the thing that I always come to with the online stuff is you just never know who's looking. And I've had customers in the past that when we've built out websites for them, all of a sudden their lead flow goes up and they're getting different types of responses. And she said, and people have actually commented on my website, and she had a terrible website before. She said, it made me realize that people were probably checking me out before, but they didn't go to the next stage because they didn't like what they saw. Like, 100%. Yeah, just never know the impression that you make with someone in an online world.
I got a cool story about that real fast. So now with like our online branding, right, and we're openly talking about our deals and how much money we made, and we're all celebrating, right? I had a gentleman that was like kind of very untrusting on the phone. And he's like, well, how do I know who you are? And how do I know this? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Go look me up. You could Google me. You can find out who I am pretty quick. And he was very, very abrasive. And he was like, okay, I'm fine. Thank you. And that was it. He didn't text me back. And I'm like, okay, that guy's weird. Well, sure enough, doesn't he call like 3 weeks later? He's like, okay, I want to do the deal. I'm like, oh, dang. So he actually went, looked at all of our online content, and he was drawn to it, and he wanted to do business with us. And then similarly, I have a private investor yesterday who agreed to go into a deal over 6 figures. And, same thing. I told her about hivemind and the CRM and the whole background, because she's like, how are you getting all these like deals? Like, it has to be impossible to find them. And I'm like, no, not really. We got this community. And I told her all about it, and she went and she investigated it. And today we got on the phone with the attorney, and she said, yeah, she's all in. She's going to lend us over $100,000 for a deal. So it's like,
I absolutely love that. And I think for anyone listening, here's the message in that, right? When we're doing properties, we do due diligence. Mm-hmm. Our sellers and our buyers, particularly our sellers, they do due diligence on us.
Yeah.
So don't ever underestimate the power of having a good online presence, or at least some good assets that you can share with them about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I didn't know how it would go. It could go either way, right? They could go investigate and say, hey, wait.
Yeah, they're like, I don't like the look of him.
Yeah, I don't like this whole idea of you guys buying for 50 cents on the dollar and flipping, you know what I mean? But no, yeah, so far so good. So it's like now, Daniel even says, he's like, we don't even need a business card. If they ask, who are you? Just tell them, go Google me. So that's been a kind of interesting paradigm shift for myself, is because like I don't want my customers to see my online content because this is like the guru stuff. But no, they love it. They go and they check us out and they like it and they see what we're doing. Like, oh yeah, this makes perfect sense. I want to do business with these guys. Yeah.
Yep. I love it. It's like, you want to check me out here, go listen to 50 odd podcasts that we've been on. Like, just go for it, guys. Yeah, full transparency. I think that's where it's at now.
You talked about that earlier, is like letting the people know what we're going to do. So we actually made a commercial on a subdivide that we did. We hired a film crew, $10,000 worth of videos and editing to shoot a commercial. And now it's like, we're going to use that to send to our customers when they say, how do I know you guys know what you're doing? Like, I don't know. Watch this episode.
Oh, I love it, guys. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what we're aiming for next. So I think this whole being out in the open and being public about what you do is going to prove to be amazing, more so probably every single year as time goes on.
Yeah, the proof is in the pudding, hey?
Yep. Hey, so where can we find you? How can people join your mastermind? How can they learn from you? Do you have some links you can share with us?
Absolutely. First of all, I don't have a mastermind. So, I do have a Facebook group that's a land group called the Land Investing Motivation Mastermind. It's just a sharing, caring kind of group. But
Beautiful.
Supercharged Offers is where most people can find me. So they can go to superchargedoffers.com. They can also go to our Facebook, Supercharged Offers. They can email me direct, so Alyssia@superchargedoffers.com. That's mainly our marketing business. So our marketing business now is bigger than our land business, which is super exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what exactly does your marketing business do? Can people hire you for services, or can they buy leads, or what do they do?
Absolutely, guys. So we are a little similar to you guys. I think we've spoken about this in the past, but we are focused on real estate acquisition. So we become the fractional marketing team for the real estate investor. Because the other thing I always say to real estate investors, I literally had a call with a customer just before getting on with you guys. She's a solopreneur, works on her own, doesn't have a huge amount of time. And so therefore she's really hit and miss with her marketing. So one of the things that we do is we build out an acquisition system that we do all of your, first of all, business design. So what's your strategy and how do we implement a consistent strategy with you, for you, should I say. We're then building out all of your data, scrubbing your data, parsing it, running your sales reports, getting your strategy really put in play. At the same time, we're building your online, so doing your branding, brand strategy, understanding your value proposition, custom content, custom websites, building out your socials, running ads. So everything from an acquisition side, we're doing it all up until the point when your phone rings. Because as a real estate investor, anyone listening, your time should be spent on that phone with sellers and buyers doing deals. All this other stuff that needs to happen before then, we do it for you. So as I said, we now work with quite a few hundred. Thanks, Lani. Maya Lani Winters is on. She's one of our customers based in Hawaii. She's been getting some incredible deals lately, which is great. And I love working with her. So we took her from, Lani, I hope you don't mind me sharing this. I'm not going to go into the detail, but she's been doing this a couple of years, was really inconsistent. I call it the roller coaster ride. She's just said there, it's changed my business. So we've now got a super consistent. My computer froze there, guys. Have you still got me?
You're good.
Yeah,
excellent.
Me.
We've got her super consistent, got a very detailed strategy with her mailing, so her direct mail, her online strategy, her website. She's like, go for it. Yeah, her business is more than doubled in that first month working with us, which is excellent.
Well, congrats to you, Lonnie. I'm glad that it's working out. Yeah, like I think everybody knows if somebody doesn't know who you are, they need to go find out. Look, your people are in the comments. They love you to death. We know who you are. We've been admiring you from afar, so I can't wait till we do a JV deal together. And guys, reach out to Alicia. She's going to help you kill it. Like I said, if she can kill it from the other side of the globe, then you have zero excuses.
Comes back to that word, right? No excuses. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you having me on. I've loved the conversation. I love that we've also gone into the whole entrepreneur side of this, because I love that that's where the conversation went, because people do need to realize the reality of, running their own businesses. And it's, I think it's good to just, keep it real.
100%. Well, thank you for your time. Thanks for coming on. You have a good rest of your Saturday.
You have a good rest of your Friday, guys. Big love to you both, and have a wonderful weekend. And thanks again. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode, guys. Go like, share, subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you all next time. Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, so the HiveMind is launching a new program where we're helping you work deals that are valued at $1 million and up. If your deal is worth $980,000, we don't want to take a look at it. You can submit those deals to us at submitbigland.com, and we'll help you comp the deals. If it's good, we'll help you close it, and we'll also help you fund it and sell it. Check us out, submitbigland.com, milliondollarmastermind.com, and wholesaling $1 million land deals on Facebook. Thanks, guys.